audience.
That is my daughter. Okay.
I'm weird.
Hi, my name is Mitchell Craig Paget. I was born on May 22nd, 1985 in Shelby, North Carolina. However, I was from Forest City, North Carolina then, and I am from Forest City, North Carolina now. I've never lived anywhere else. I graduated from Chase High School in 2003, and I have since attended Isothermal Community College and UNC Charlotte, where I have an associate's degree together in criminal justice. However, when I go back to high school, my original plan was to be a mechanical engineer. However, that plan was influenced by my high school sweetheart when it came time for college to begin, and I ended up staying at Isothermal the first year. As the next year came around and I started knowing that I would be going to UNC Charlotte, I had changed opinions and decided I definitely wanted to pursue architecture. And I had looked up in UNC Charlotte, just happened to be one of the top in the southeast schools for architecture. About 10,000 people apply every year to get into the architecture school, and they only take 50 for each class. They only take 50 for each class. I made the 200 that they bring in for interviews, but sadly I was deemed number 10 on the waiting list and didn't get in. I was guaranteed, however, a spot for the next year, but then I began to think. The architecture was a 5-year program, and I had already spent a year in school, and I would be another year before I would be in, equaling 7. And honestly, I really just didn't want to spend 7 years in school before I started working. So then I decided to switch it up and just started studying business for that year at UNC Charlotte. But at I also shifted several things I was doing, kind of. From the time I was 10 or 12 years old, my grandfather had me collecting baseball or trading cards, and I quickly learned to turn our weekly trips to the flea market into hustling ball cards from one guy to another, making money. I was basically able to pay for my collecting and even adding some extra money to my pocket at the time. Then in high school, I started dating a girl, the previously mentioned high school sweetheart, her father was a wholesale car dealer. And I started to look up to him and take after him, and immediately began investing all and any of the money I had on small, resale adventures and stuff like that, and to do with the car business. And I began parting out cars and stuff on eBay. I continued this until my second year down at UNCC, where I was so busy that I was pretty much my parents pretty much wasted the money they put up for my apartment, because I was pretty much driving home at least 5 out of the 7 days, or if not every day, to work. I had found another girlfriend at the time from home, and when winter break came that year, I was getting kind of serious with her, and I had to sit back and think about things and analyze. I was doing something I loved already, while making more money than any 21-year-old should have been, or should have at his time, either one. It was then that I decided to call it quits in school to be full-time as it was, to begin my career in the car business. I was very successful in the car business up until the economy died, when Obama became president right after 2009. I'm still doing cars and fixing cars and selling cars. However, the economy is just dead, and I have placed my faith in President Trump now to bring the economy back, and that's where I stand on that. I have since started going back to school at night or on the internet, when my business started going down, but not for the degree. It was mainly to increase my knowledge that I have and help me in my business that I do have. But enough about work and school. That winter break, when I called it quits, it actually was quite a good timing, because about a month and a half or 2 months later, I found out that that girlfriend was expecting. There was a major problem with that, though. Since I had came home and I had moved in with her, I had found out that she had an extreme drug problem that she had hid from me when I was completely consumed with school and work. So for the next 6 or 7 months now, I had to balance school and work along with being my own private detective, trying to make sure she was taking care of herself properly and staying off the drugs and everything. And until she gave birth. However, she did overdose 6 months pregnant, and we thought we had lost my daughter. But luckily, God blessed me with a healthy little girl, who you've seen as the audience so far.
I'm recording.
She's now my absolute whole freaking world. I was granted sole custody of her pretty much straight after the hospital, and I've raised her by myself with a little bit of help from my family here and there the whole time. I've never looked back. She's 9 now. She's absolutely gorgeous. A straight-A student, an all-star softball player, a born-again Christian, and she plays basketball and sometimes soccer too. I couldn't be more proud of her than I am of anything. I am not able to have much of a personal life with all the responsibilities I have with her and the fact that I work by myself. But I wouldn't think of trading it for anything. There's one last topic I'd like to touch on. It has been one of the most hardest and dramatic things I've went through. When my daughter was 2 or 3 months old, I had to go out of town for work one night. Basically, I was taking a car that I had sold down to a couple hours away to drop it off. And rather than spending the money on the hotel, I decided to make the trip back that night, even though I had been up early that morning with my daughter and everything. Little did I know at the time how much the $40 I saved on a hotel room really would end up costing me, because about 3 miles from my house, I fell asleep at the wheel and my car went at a full speed, about 65 miles an hour, off a deep embankment and hit a tree head on, full speed. The fall did really bad damage. I almost ripped my entire left arm off. The bones came out of my arm. I had plates put in it all the way up. Basically, they were barely able to save it. I had tore 2 of my major nerves in that arm. I also I broke in from my knees all the way up into my pelvis, almost completely shattering my femurs to sawdust. Because of the high amounts of chemicals that came from the broken bones that got into my blood, my lungs shut down and stopped working, so they had to induce me into a coma, which is where I spent the next 21 days. When I did come out of the coma, I was nowhere in my right mind. But as I started to try to recover and to gather myself, they told me to be prepared that I would never walk again. But with my strong family's support and my extreme determination, I began taking steps within the next month, and began taking steps in the next month or so. They also told me I would never be able to use my hand again. It did take immense therapy and almost 4 surgeries and a year, but I now have about 90% use of my hand, even though I cannot feel most or all of my lower arm and hand. What I would say 9 years later, I can tell you the single hardest injury to overcome that I faced, and that was my head injury. I went from being a normal guy to dealing with severe emotional and mental stress and disabilities, sometimes even being close to suicidal. I have to see multiple doctors. I'm on so many medicines you can't count, and it's a struggle to live everyday life sometimes. I'm nowhere near the person I was beforehand, but I strive to get better every day for me and my daughter. Even though it's been hard, I did learn this statement was true. What doesn't kill you, well, it may not be fun and everything, but it will make you stronger, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, or whatever. But here I stand today, and ready to move forward. Thank you for your time.